we're just going to do a quick thing on gradients. Okay, so with those projects, one called coffee, that's coffee end and coffee start. So if you've saved those somewhere else, remember if you open them from the P drive, you can't save to the P drive. Okay, so just make sure you save them somewhere else. Okay, so that's the finished product. We're just going to be having a look at doing a gradient, like for this, you know, the middle of the coffee kind of bit. So the coffee start one has just the blank thing there. Oh, and yeah, there's a gradient in the background too. Yeah. Okay. So there's a couple of ways, like with the colours, there's a couple of ways, you know, you can do gradients. There's a gradient panel. Okay, so here's the gradient panel. There's a gradient tool. Okay, so on the toolbox there's a gradient tool. And at the bottom of the toolbox there's also, like underneath where you've got the fill and the stroke icons, we're doing a new one. Weren't you listening? Were you still talking when I said open this? Okay, so it's the one called coffee. There's coffee end shows you the finished one, but coffee start is the one that we want. Okay, I put them on the P drive, so you need to copy them somewhere else or save them, you know, somewhere else. Okay, so I've just opened up the gradient panel here, and you can see that it's just by default, it's a white to black gradient. If I click just underneath, that's called the gradient slider, sorry. It's on the panels, it's about halfway down the panels there. Yep. So underneath the stroke, the ones with the lines, yep. Or it's actually grouped with that anyway. Yeah. So if I just click underneath that gradient slider, see it goes white to black, you'll see you'll get the points, the colour stops. Okay, and every time you click, you can get an extra colour stop there. Okay, I don't really want those, but you know, you can have like multi-coloured gradients, and each one can be a different colour. So if I double-click that colour stop, see the little colour swatch there. If I double-click that, I've got some options there. I've got the colour palette, or I've got some swatches. Okay. You know, I can change that. I can do something there. If I double click another one. Okay, so just, you know, different things. So I just chose a blue one there, and then I went to there and, you know, adjusted the tint. Okay, this one, I mean, depending on how it was set up in the first place, like that one's a CMYK one. Anyway, so you can, you know, do some different things. Oh, I've got a nice brown, blue, grey, black gradient just by clicking different things. All right. Okay, so let's just get out of that one for the moment. Okay, just click on your selection tool, and we're going to make a gradient fill for the background to start with. So this, we have a look back at this one, see this sort of rounded rectangle thing there. If we click on that, okay, so at the moment it's got a red stroke. Yep, so it's got a red stroke and a brown fill, and you can see that in the colour swatches there. The fill colour is like a brown colour and the outline is a red colour. All right. Sorry. Right underneath I'll have that weird gradient that I just made, but anyway, that's fine. We'll change that. Right underneath those two swatches, you'll see there are three little, like, smaller squares there. So one says colour, one says gradient, and one says none. So if I click the one in the middle, now if you've made a weird gradient colour like me, it'll come up with that with that gradient. Okay, so you can just, fill it with that. But that's actually not what we want. It's not particularly nice, is it? So you might think it's nice, but yes. So we want to actually get rid of, whoops, sorry, wrong thing. We want to get rid of those extra ones that we added. And the way you do that, like if you added some like me, if you just click and drag it down, and it'll actually delete that colour stop. Okay, so we really only want two colour stops. We want one at the beginning and one at the end. So I'm just going to get rid of those extra ones that I created there. Okay, so we just want one at the beginning and one at the end. Yeah? Okay, so double click the first colour stop. Okay, now yours might be a different colour to mine. I was just randomly clicking things, but we want to go into the colour swatches. So you'll see there you've got two options, the colour palette and the swatches. Now this one, because this is a new document, you might think, what's happened to all those colour swatches that were in the last one? The colour swatches stay with a particular file. Okay, so this is a new file, so it's got new colour swatches. Okay, so it's only got the ones that are appropriate to this layout. Okay, all right, so it's not like they've disappeared, they're just in the other file. All right, so we want the one called light brown, which is the third one across. It's just the one next. You've got white, black, and then the third one is light brown. If you click on that, okay, and then that'll give us our first colour swatch. Okay, the next one, double click on the black one, or if it's whatever the last one is, it might not be black anymore with yours. And with this one, we're going to go to the colour panel here. Now, it's on grayscale. Oh, maybe I did that. I don't know. It should be on CMYK. Is yours on grayscale? I don't know if it was like that. It might have been like that, so we need to change it. So if you click on in the top right-hand corner of that little panel there, you'll see it's actually the menu. It's got a tiny little arrow and tiny little lines there. But if you click on that, you'll get those options, so you can change the colours to something else. So we want to change this one to CMYK. Okay, so once you get CMYK, you'll get these four colours. All right, so these are the values for this one. So we've got the first one is 45, then 62, 82, and 44. And you'll get it's a darker brown. Okay. Now to get out of that panel there, you can either just press the escape key, or you can just click, somewhere on the gradient thing or something, just to close that colour swatches thing up. So that's what we should have to start with. It's just a lighter brown to a darker brown gradient. Chris, how did you go with that? You want to see those values again? You got them? 45, 62, 82, 44. rid of the slider, like, oh, like, have you got an extra point there? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, so you just click and drag. So click and drag it down. Yep, you okay? All right. Okay, now, oh, hang on, where have they moved this thing to? No, 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 no. Hang on. I've lost something. No, it's not in there. Oops, sorry. Oh, damn it. Sorry, put my colour in again. Oh, there it is. I've lost the thing. You should be able to save it in here as the swatches. Okay, there used to be a button somewhere to save it to the swatches, but we can just do it. Well, I just have to go to the swatches menu. So we want to save this gradient. Okay. So if we go to the swatches menu and we can say new swatch, and that'll save our gradient swatch that we've just created, that light brown to dark brown. Okay, there used to be a save button on the gradient panel, but I don't know, it's moved somewhere now, but anyway. But did everyone see how I did that? I'll just go back there. Okay, so I've got my gradient. Yep. Go to my swatches panel. And I just click on new swatch. Like we did with the new colour, we created a colour and then we clicked on here. Okay. But the only options it's giving me is what I'm going to call it. Okay. So I'm just going to call this one background. Okay, and you should be able to see with a little tiny swatch there, a light brown to dark brown colour swatch. Did everyone get that? No? Which bit do you want me to do again? Did you make the gradient? Have you got that? You did that? Okay, so then just click on the swatches. Yep. And then that new swatch icon at the bottom. You okay, Chris? You want? Okay, so everyone was able to save their swatch in the swatches panel. Yeah. Now, if you only want to, maybe you've got heaps more swatches than there are here. You might have like a whole stack of coloured swatches, and you've made some gradients and patterns, whatever. You just want to show, a particular type. So you just want to show your gradient swatches, for example. Okay, at the bottom of the swatches panel, you've got this box. It's got like little, I don't know, about four squares by 3 squares, and it says show swatch kinds menu. All right, if you click on that, you can just show certain swatches. So if we just want to see our gradient swatches, we can click on that one, show gradient swatches, and then it'll only show the gradient swatches. Okay, so it's got some other ones already there, and then that's the one that we've made. Same thing with the colours and the patterns and things. Okay. All right. So at the moment, so that's fine, we've got our gradient, but if you have a look back at the original one, this one's got the gradient going from top to bottom, but our one is going left to right. So we have to change the angle of our gradient. All right, so let's choose the gradient tool in the tool panel. So it's this one here. Okay, it's about 2/3 of the way down, and it's a rectangle width going from dark to light. Now you should still have your rectangle selected, okay? And when you do, you'll notice that it'll come up with a line in the middle. Now if I put my mouse over that line, see how it's sort of, I'm just hovering my mouse over it at the moment. you'll see that I've got the little colour stops. So at the right hand side I've got my dark colour stop, and at the left hand side I've got my light colour stop. Okay, yep. So so I can actually change things there if I wanted. If I wanted to change that colour, okay, I can double click there and I've got the colour things come up. Okay, I can add another colour stop here. I'm not going to, but if I put my mouse just underneath that line and see my, sorry, the cursor turns into a white arrow with a plus sign. When you get that plus sign, it means you can add another colour stop. Okay, so if I wanted that multicoloured, you know, thing again, I can do it here. So it's like doing it in the gradient panel. Okay, it's just another way of doing it. So, you know, you might prefer one way more over the other. Okay, now what we do need to do is we need to move this around. So we're going to, oh, hang on. Oh yeah, it's the gradient slider, sorry. Sorry, my thing is not happening. Oh, there we go. Okay. I just rewind there. We need to, like I said, we need to rotate it around. So what did it have? The light one at the top and the dark one at the bottom. If I hold the Shift key and click from the top of the rectangle down, so it's going to do something there, and it actually changes the direction of the thing. The reason I held the Shift key down was so it did it in a straight line. Okay, holding the Shift key constrains it, okay, to 90 degrees, or I think actually 45 degrees, but okay, so whatever's closest to that point. So it's actually changed it, so I'll just do that again. Okay, so that's our original one, so that's the line that's going that way, but I want the gradient to go up and down. Okay, I can do it without holding the Shift key down, but see how it's not constraining it, it'll do it at an angle. Alright, so if I wanted it at an angle, I could do that, but in this case I don't. But holding the Shift key keeps it straight. So even though, see, if I go that way, it'll keep it to a 45 degree. Okay, so it does it to whatever, you know, I can go off a little bit. Once I get past there, it'll do 45 degrees. So that's what the holding the Shift key does. It constrains it to a 45 degree angle, or in this case a 90 degree angle. Yeah. So I just changed it so it was the gradients going the other way. Okay, does anyone want me to do that again? Yeah, okay. Yep, is everyone okay? Yep. So it's just a matter of dragging in a different position because I'm still in the gradient tool. Okay, this is the object that's filled with the gradient. Okay, so all I need to do is drag, you know, wherever I want in a different position, wherever I want that gradient to be. Yeah, so if I wanted, you know, to go from one corner to another, okay, that's what I would do, just drag that way. Or if I wanted to go, I don't know, just some random direction, okay, that way. Now notice I can also drag and stop outside of the shape as well, and that's going to give me more or less colour, like of one of the colour stops. Okay, so in this one, let me just zoom out a little bit. Okay, I can drag out there if I want, and I'm getting mostly the dark one, which was the other end. Or if I do that way, it's got mostly the light colour. So you might want to do that for, I don't know, depends on what you're doing, but usually you're going to drag inside the shape so you get kind of an equal amount of the colour. Alright, so I'm just going to go back there. I'll just do Shift and top to bottom, and that's my light to dark colour. Okay. So I can also, you know, rotate that around. If you put your mouse just outside one of the ends, like one of the ends of that white arrow, and you'll see the cursor's turned into a circular arrow. Okay, that means rotate. Okay, so I could just grab it at that point and rotate it if I want to. Okay, I don't really want to do that, but it does let me do that. Okay, all right. Okay, so the next thing I want to do, so that's the background. Okay, so we've got our background thing. The next thing I want to do is add a gradient in here. All right, so this is the last bit we'll do with a gradient, but in the middle of that coffee cup. So let's go to our layers panel. And remember in the last one, some of the layers were hidden in the label. Same thing here. It's got a bunch of different things here. Okay, we don't really need all of those things up at the moment, but you can add those later. All we want is the coffee cup. Oops, beans, blends. Now it does have, if you click on the top of the coffee cup, it's actually got an oval there or an ellipse. Okay. I think in the past I've created an oval separately, but I can't remember why I did that. But anyway, but yeah, just select that oval that's in the middle there of the coffee cup, and we can choose from the bottom of the toolbox that gradient icon where you've got the 3 squares in a row. Yep. Now it will fill it with the last gradient that we had, which was the one that we made, the light brown to dark brown one. Yeah, we okay there? Yep. Okay, so it'll fill it with that last gradient, but the problem is that that was a linear gradient. It went from one side to the other, but obviously in a coffee cup, we want a different type of gradient. Okay, yeah, it's called a radial gradient. Okay, so if we have a look on the gradient panel, okay, mine is still out, yours might be still out. See here it says linear, the type is linear. Let's have a look, the other type is radial. Okay, so if we have a look at radial, and we change it, okay, so it's not too bad, but we still need to adjust it a little bit. Okay, let's go back to our gradient tool, or G. The letter G is the keyboard shortcut for gradient. And so we'll see our little white line here. Now the problem with this radial gradient, see when you put your mouse over it, you get that dotted line. It's done it like it's a flat circle, okay, which is obviously not how the coffee cup is. Okay, the coffee cup is on an angle and you're seeing it, it's got a different perspective. Yeah? Can everyone find that? So I'm on the gradient tool. Yeah? Okay. And also we want to change the colour of it slightly as well, which remember we can do from within this option here. So let's double click the right colour, which is the dark brown one. And we've got our CMYK sliders here. We're going to make it, we're going to move that, the cyan one, or the C, okay, a bit more. So we just want it, oh, that's made it green, that can't be right. Yes, I think I went too far there. I just want it a bit darker, but don't make it green. It's like, maybe in the 60s, somewhere like 60, yeah, the low 60s I think is fine. It's just to make it a little bit darker. I don't know if that looks a bit too green. Yeah, I might just make it 60, I think. Okay, so I've made that one 60, and then also, if you press the escape key, that'll just get rid of that colour thing. The other one, the left colour stop, if you double click that one as well. And we want to change that a little bit. We're going to change the tint of it. So remember that one was the colour swatch. We're going to turn that tint down to about 50%. So just you can move the slider or you can type in the box where it says, currently says 100%. That's fine, doesn't have to be exact. Okay, so we've got our colours right. Now, the next thing is to change the angle of that circle. So there are a couple of ways you can do it. You can either grab the top, it'll be a black circle at the top of the outline. Okay, when you put your mouse over it, you should get a black arrow and an oval, a little picture of an oval. If you just click and drag that, you can actually drag it up and down, okay, to be in the right area. And that's probably the easiest. The other way you can do it is in your gradient panel. And see, I don't know if you noticed there, if you have a look in your, oops, move it. In your gradient panel, I'll just put it back there. It was on 100% before, and when you move that, it's reducing that value. Okay, that's the aspect ratio. So there are a couple of ways you can do that. If you know what the value is, but in this case it's much easier to see it because you've got the object there. Okay, so I'm just moving it down. I think it ends up around, oh, just stop moving it accidentally. No, it's not going to let, come back. Oh, that's the problem when you get too close in. Actually, I'm just going to change the value here. Yeah, that's better. You want it a little bit just outside. It ends up around 20%. Okay, so sometimes when you get it too close together, like me, it wasn't going to let me actually move it out again without moving the whole thing. So, yeah, so you've got a couple of different ways there. Yeah, I'll just make it a little bit small, just so it fits inside the cup. Actually, that ends up 14%. I think that's better. Yeah, so it's just so that it fits in the cup there. And then if you want to, you can also extend the gradient as well. So you've got the ends there. You can just grab the end colour, well, it's not really the colour stop, it's the black thing there on the end of the white line, and you can just extend it out to make it bigger. Okay, so to fit inside the coffee cup. Okay. I think that's, oh, you can actually add, you know what we'll do? We'll add another colour swatch, another thing here. Yeah, make sure you've still got that selected, another colour stop, I meant, to, you know, give it another, a bit more, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for, thing here. Or we can move the middle of it as well. So we can, oh, I don't want to do that. So you can, you know, move your colour swatch up. You can add another colour stop, like to add another, you know, shade of brown or something in there to get a more, I don't know, not really a textured look, but you know how coffee looks on the top. Like it's not like just a natural, you know, 1 to 2 colour gradient. So yeah, you can add different things there. Oh, do I want to move it? It's wanting me to move it. That's not what I want. Anyway, but that's pretty much, like, you can obviously, experiment with gradients and things, but they're the tools, the gradient panel, the gradient tool, different things, okay? So I think that's all I was going to do with gradients. Yes. You can, if you want, you can, there's some text, like those other layers. You've got things there. If you wanted to try and add a gradient to the text yourself, okay, similar sort of thing. You've got the original to go back to, so you can have a look, how that one was done. Yeah, see, the original one, it's actually got a bigger bit there than that one, the oval. Anyway. Okay,